Hello and welcome, everybody. My name is Space Muffin. This is the Void Playground. We're the podcast where we talk about stuff and things. Thank you guys so much for your support, and we really appreciate you guys. We have a really awesome topic today. Yeah, well, we have the usual crowd. We got JD here,
What's up?
and we have Mofi. Mofi, how are you doing, man?
Everyone? I'm doing good. How about you?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing great. JD, how are you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Yeah, I'm doing well.
So, guys, today we're going to talk about open world games, the state of open world games. Do we need a bunch of open world games? We're going to talk about everything open world games, but let's start it off with Red Dead Redemption. Mofi, you mentioned specifically Red Dead Online, but you mentioned to me that Red Dead is making a comeback. Why is that? Why is Red Dead making a comeback?
Rockstar has stopped updating Red Dead Online, but I have definitely seen a resurgence for Red M, which, if you don't know what that is, it's basically Red Dead Redemption, but you have custom servers. So it's basically like a 5M for GTA, except for Red Dead Redemption, and the player base on that is just insane. So that's where I've seen a comeback. Also a few people on online and stuff, but yeah, mostly on Red M.
JD, what was the first open world game you've ever played?
Oh man, the one I can think on top of my head will have to be Skyrim.
Really interesting. Skyrim. Okay. So my first like quote unquote real open world game was probably GTA 3. That was pretty crazy. But that's it. That's interesting that you say Skyrim. Skyrim it's a really, really good choice. So we're gonna get to Skyrim here, but so going back to Red Dead, the thing is, Mofi, and this is just my humble opinion, right? As someone who's played Red Dead 2 online and someone who's played a lot of these games, and a lot of MMOs and a lot of open world games, do you feel like the open world game industry is just kind of bloated? Do you feel like it's a good thing, or how do you feel about just open world games in general?
So, open world games happen to be my favorite game genre. And like me speaking is we have like a few big hitters. So that's the GTA series, the Red Dead Redemption series, and then there are a few others.
Elder Scrolls,
Yep, Elder Scrolls, Zelda, stuff like that. I personally think we should have more open world games, because personally, number one, it's my favorite genre. I just find them so fun because, especially with open world games, the level of detail the developers put into open world games, especially for something like Red Dead, is just absolutely insane. But and then you come to the fact that where it's like it's so big. A lot of open world games are massive. Like Red Dead is massive, and just sorry, go ahead.
No. Continue what you were gonna say.
It was like the thing with open world games is that since they're so big and they require so much work, we don't get many of them. They're few and far between. So I personally think we should have more open world games.
I 100% agree with you on that, especially when you get more for the money that you're spending on, because you're spending like hundreds of hours playing the games and like doing side quests and the main quests and like all these things. It's just like the storyline as well. Like some of the storylines are very good, to be honest.
So I'm gonna play devil's advocate here. In Red Dead Online, a lot of the world is just set dressing. Would you agree with that or disagree with that?
What do you mean by set dressing?
It has no purpose other than to look pretty.
I never played Red Dead Online, so I can't say.
I think in Red Dead Online there is a bit of that. I think in the story mode though, it's completely different.
I can agree with that. So actually maybe GTA 3 wasn't my first one. Maybe it was RuneScape. So in RuneScape,
RuneScape was mine too.
Yeah, RuneScape, like, it's the opposite of set dressing. You can cut down trees and you can make fire and you can make bows and you can do stuff with like the wood. You can mine rocks and mine like ore and make armor. Like it was really really interesting. Like the whole world was almost like a character in and of itself. And I would have loved to see like a skilling system in Red Dead Online, like a wood cutting system where you can like do things and you know, I don't know. I would love to. I know there's a little bit of that with the roll system, but I would love to see just straight up like, you know, like wood cutting and fire making and you know, obviously I know they have skinning. You can skin animals and things like that, so that's cool. But I don't know. And I would also like to see trade. Like, I mean, for whatever reason, after Diablo 3, no game wants to do any trade anymore. It's like everything is locked down. And I get it. You know, they don't want the third party markets to come in. I think I've mentioned that in previous podcasts, but it's like, I don't know. I think like it would just make the game so much more fun if like your buddy joins the game and you can just give him like a, you know, not the worst gun in the world. Like he gets a good gun for knowing his buddy, and you guys can trade and have fun. And oh, hey, you need this thing, I need that thing. You know?
And that's kind of the value of Minecraft too. Being some could debate it's an open world game.
It is.
It is considered open world. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the fact where Minecraft you can get stuff in every single world. It's not like there's something specific to one world. So that kind of eliminates that fact where people are like selling stuff, and you definitely see it on servers and stuff, like private owned servers where it's like pay us like 10 in PayPal and give you a diamond sword and stuff. But if you're just playing with your friend, it's like I can give you all this stuff without any, you know. And also there's the fact in Minecraft where I think it's more nowadays, but Minecraft compared to other games has relatively little in-game microtransactions. Base like on the base version, of course there's servers and stuff, which I think is actually against Mojang's TOS, but I think that has a value.
Look,
for sure.
My thing is this. Look, if I'm gonna buy something in the game, right? Like I'm cool with microtransactions, but let me own it. Let me be able to do whatever I want with it, right? Like, so let's say I buy like a skin in Red Dead or a gun in Red Dead. I should be able to destroy the gun. I should be able to give the gun to my buddy. I should be able to sell it for gold. I should be able to do whatever. That's just my opinion, though. I think you should be able to do whatever you want with the things that you buy, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it makes total sense. Yeah. How do you guys feel about, like, speaking of online, how do you guys feel like about like RP, like GTA RP or Red Dead Redemption RP and things like that?
RP being role playing, is that correct?
Yeah, role playing. Yeah.
You know, I mean, yeah, it's tough because it's like I've never participated in any of that. Mofi, what about you?
I have in GTA. It's definitely more prevalent in GTA rather than Red Dead. You don't see it too much in Red Dead. But the thing with the role-playing servers is that there's two sections. There's cops and robbers, you could call it. And it's definitely a lot wider than that, but that's just a short. There's cops, robbers, and there's just like do whatever you want.
Right.
Service. And I played a cops and robbers server. It was fun, but for me personally, it got boring after a while. Where it's like, I only did it for a few times. And I personally think that some people take RP a little too seriously. I think there's definitely that issue. Like, there's one server I used to be in where it's like you can't play unless you're 18 years or older because they wanted to have you have to have a deep voice to play, and it's like, okay, I guess there's people that are like that stuff, but it wasn't me. It was a little too serious for me.
No, I hear you. So I think at the end of the day, with a lot of these games and a lot of this stuff, it's just really important to, I mean, because like the world itself is a character, and I think like, you know, just have fun, like do what you got to do. And I think as far as the role playing thing goes, like I remember being on a role playing server in World of Warcraft, but I never actually like did the role playing. My buddy had me join, but. You know, if it helps you enjoy the game a little bit more, then I say go for it. You know, and yeah, at the end of the day, I mean, it's your experience, right?
Yeah, I also had to bounce off of what Mofi said about like the restrictions and stuff like that. Sometimes role playing does get a little bit toxic, especially like the major streamers out there who do GTA RP, like at the No Pixel servers and stuff. I've seen a lot of drama have gone down with those servers, and honestly, like the fans have taken it to a whole new level
Yeah.
of like it's insane. Like this fake character that you're playing, like causing drama in real life. It's just I don't know, like dude, they're just putting on a show for you guys, you know? And yet you're over here tweeting and wasting your time complaining about a fake character.
So what's interesting to me about, like you mentioned, like it affecting real life, right? So Diablo 2, right? Diablo 2, you could it's an open world game, but it's also instance based. But like in Diablo 2, like you could trade items, you can drop items, and there'd be so many scammers and people that would basically bought the whole game. And same with RuneScape too. RuneScape had the same problem. And with Diablo 3, they tried to fix this with the auction house, and there's a huge backlash. I mentioned this before, but like, you know, I don't think the auction house was a bad idea. I think that I think it was just implemented poorly.
Mm-hmm.
You're thinking, Spaceman, what does that have to do with like affecting people in real life? Well, it's like a money situation, right?
No. Yeah, when it comes to like scams and type of stuff, like you're physically handing like real cash or like spending actual money, that's a whole different story, you know. But like, let's say like again, GTA RP no pixel server, right? There's no like microtransaction. You're not spending any money on it.
Yeah.
But, like, yeah.
No, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, and it's just like these fans of these streamers go in. They're like, oh, this person said said so and so about this person, and I'm just like, you do realize it's acting. They don't really mean it in real life.
Yeah, and I see what you're saying. So, okay, so yeah, I see what you're saying. Like, I guess the point that I was trying to get at is that, you know, online games, regardless of, you know, I mean, regardless of whatever, they're going to have real world implications if there are real world applications, right? So, for example, in World of Warcraft, right, there's an esports aspect to the whole game, right? And so, you know, getting gold or getting whatever resources is going to be valuable. It's going to affect things in real life. The role playing thing, I don't understand why people get mad about that. I think, like you're saying, it's just, hey, this is for fun, but you know, a lot of people do take this very seriously. So that's just interesting. It's very interesting, honestly.
Yeah, and like going back to open world, oh my god, like I love what they did with Jedi Fallen Order. You know, like open world, and like you get to explore places, things like that. Jedi Fallen Order is one of my favorite games thus far. Besides like Witcher 3 and stuff like that, like other games. But I'm replaying Jedi Fallen Order, and oh my god, it's so good. I love it. Yeah, man.
No, Jedi Fallen Order. I played a little bit of it. It's really good. You mentioned Skyrim earlier.
Oh yeah, I did. Skyrim was my besides RuneScape, Skyrim was my gateway into adventure games / open world games.
Skyrim? Okay, so guys, everyone's gonna hate me.
No, God.
I was not the biggest Skyrim fan. Okay, now granted, okay, look, so I wasn't the biggest Oblivion fan either, right? Mm-hmm. So like the last Elder Scrolls game that I really, really liked was Morrowind. And I mean, Oblivion was good. I don't know. Like, by the time I got to Skyrim, I was just kind of like burnt out, I guess. Or I was on to other things, you know. And so, but the thing about Skyrim that's interesting to me, and even GTA 5, right? Mm-hmm. Those two games came out on 7th generation consoles. Isn't that interesting?
Yes.
Like they came out like on the Xbox 360 and PS3, right? And then they're still relevant. They're still relevant today, right? Like they're still people are still playing them. And before those games, like we had never. It used to be like I mean, you got GTA 3, you got GTA Vice City, you got GTA San Andreas, and then a bunch of other GTA games on the PS2, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then it's just like GTA 5 comes out. I guess you had GTA 4 on the 360 as well. So, but for the PS4 and Xbox One, it was just GTA 5. It was just Skyrim.
Mm-hmm.
And then even now in the ninth generation consoles, it's the same thing. And then hopefully we're going to see GTA 6 and Elder Scrolls 6. There's all these sixes, dude. Street Fighter 6 is coming out this year, right?
Yeah, it's crazy.
But I don't know. It's like, for me, like a good open world game, like the world is more than just set dressing. And when it's an interactive experience with other players, how do you encourage like interaction on different levels, right?
Mm-hmm.
On different with different ideas, such as like in World of Warcraft, it's like, okay, hey, we're all going to do dungeons together, right? But I remember back in the day there was like group quest, right?
Mm-hmm.
And stuff like that. So the open world itself, I think it's a natural progression that games are going open world, because you can just do so much more with open world.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, yeah.
But
Especially with multiplayer.
Well,
Like, you open
yeah.
up to multiplayer, like you have more people on the servers, you have people doing microtransactions and like other things. Like, it's better for the company.
Right, and I mean, you look at a game like No Man's Sky, right? So No Man's Sky,
That's a W game right there. I have that game.
So when No Man's Sky first came out, it was like garbage. There was nothing in the game. Couldn't really do much. You know what I mean?
I canceled my pre-order for that game because I hear it was so bad.
Dude, yeah, it was bad when it first came out.
It's so good now.
Oh yeah, dude, it's amazing, dude.
It's
I played it. Like,
so good.
the game is mind-bogglingly good. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Okay, so you're saying is I should pick it back up.
Dude, you
Yeah.
definitely got to pick it back up.
It's like the you can like build bases. You can it really makes you feel like you're in Star Wars. That's how I could describe it.
Yeah,
okay.
it's a really good game, dude. Just like on a technical level too, like how there's different planets and like you can go to different, like you can explore the universe and stuff. Like,
And like the thing about that game is like something I never understood is because it's like procedurally generated, the actual file size is pretty small. It's like 8 gigabytes or something on Steam.
Really?
Which
Yeah.
I just found I was like blown away by that. I thought it would be like 200 gigabytes or something like that.
Oh,
that's
wow.
because of the graphics in the game. The
Mhm.
graphics aren't insanely demanding. Another game that was really bad, but that is now, I'm not gonna say really good, but okay, is Cyberpunk 2077. Have you played that one, JD?
No, I have not. I was thinking about picking it up until a lot of the bugs happened. I was like, no, I'm good.
So I played that game for PC on launch. I didn't really have too many bugs. I mean, the one bug that I did have was like the worst bug ever. It deleted my save. So
yeah, I kept hearing a lot of people complaining about it not saving properly.
Oh,
about getting
dude,
corrupted.
dude, that game is so. I mean, like, here's the problem with that game specifically.
Mm-hmm.
It was overhyped.
Oh yeah, the
Oh,
thing
yeah.
about it is what I was kind of blown away by is they were hyping this game so much up, and then actually you can see there were only 4 people on the dev team, and they had to push out this massive game in the span of like I think it was like 2 years or 3 years or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And like a game that has 4 devs, you would not expect.
What
that
do you mean?
from-
What do you mean 4 devs? Like, there's more. There's definitely more than 4 people working on it. But like,
No, they had. It may have been 8, but they did not have many people working on that game. I can actually look it up.
Yeah, you might want to look that one up, because
Yeah, I think I might be wrong, hon.
CD Projekt Red, they're the ones who developed it, and they have hundreds and hundreds of people
Mm-hmm.
working overtime, and just because of all the voice acting and things like that. And
Oh, okay, yeah, I must have read something wrong.
Cyberpunk 2077.
Is it better now?
Yeah, like my problem with Cyberpunk 2077 is they promised the universe, and this gave us a little sliver. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Having said that, though, the game is fun, and is it the best game ever created? No. Is it fun? Yes, but like just expectations were through the roof, right? Like it was kind of like we were talking about it with the movie one, like The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
Like that movie was hyped, dude.
Yeah, of course.
Like the trailer was crazy, like all that stuff, and so I kind of felt that way with Cyberpunk, where it was just overhyped, And having said that, though, JD, there's a solid game in there, dude. If you play, if you play it now, like it's in a much better state.
Okay.
So yeah, I definitely recommend checking it out.
Me personally, I think they rushed that game a little bit.
Well, I'll put it this way: they should have probably released the game in 2024.
Mm-hmm.
That's just me, though, right? It shouldn't have been released for PlayStation 4 or
Wasn't it like delayed for a little while and
it
then
was.
they rushed it?
It was, but I mean, I think it could have been in the oven for probably 4 more years. That's just my honest opinion.
So if this game were to be good during launch, this would have been my first Cyberpunk game I ever played.
Yeah, so it's originally a board game. Are you talking about the Cyberpunk genre or just like the
Cyberpunk genre in general? This is my very first. It will be my very first interaction with it.
Oh, cool. Yeah, it's a interesting genre. It's very interesting. A lot of philosophical stuff. But yeah, I mean, as far as open world games go today, I mean, obviously, yeah, you have Cyberpunk 2077, which I think is the big one, right? That in the past few years. I know Diablo 4 is coming out, and I'm very excited for Diablo 4. And the thing about like Diablo and these games is, they want it to be unmistakably Diablo, which is fine, but it's like don't limit yourself, So I don't know. I played Diablo Immortal. That was fun. Lots of microtransactions and stuff, but it was definitely a fun game. If you just want to play through the story and have fun and do that, it's a fun game. But I want to see more. I want to see, like, I like the fact, like in Diablo 4, you can like climb, you can like get on a horse, you can. It's multi like there's like, how do I explain it? It's like it's multi-level and like literally in the sense that like there is, you can climb things, you can go through, you can explore the terrain in different ways. I would love to see a jump button in Diablo 4. If you can jump in Diablo 4, that'd be great. I say a lot, but I think Diablo 4 is probably going to be the biggest. I'm trying to think of like a bigger open world game that's coming out this year.
Is Assassin's Creed considered open world?
Sure, I would say so.
Okay, then I have played open world games before, RuneScape and Elder Scrolls Skyrim, because I played the first Assassin's Creed.
RuneScape came out before Assassin's Creed.
Right.
RuneScape came out in like 2001, and Assassin's Creed came out.
That. Okay. Yeah, I played those before.
Yeah, no, I got you.
Yeah, I just don't know which one I played first.
No, it's okay.
But like, I really like the new Assassin's Creed series. Nothing on the original ones. The original ones are like the original OGs. Like, it's really good. But for me, my most favorite one out of Assassin's Creed has to be Black Flag, and then besides the original ones, is Black Flag, and then the next one is Odyssey.
I have never played Assassin's Creed.
Really?
I never got into it.
I haven't either.
Oh my god, you guys need to get on that.
I mean, I played Prince of Persia, which is kind of like. You didn't like Prince of Persia?
No, I didn't like that one.
Oh, interesting.
So I looked it up. And it's sorry, I got confused with the Cyberpunk 2077. It said it went into production with about 500 devs working on it, which I mean is like a decent amount, but it's still relatively small compared to other games.
Well, I look. Here's the thing about Cyberpunk 2077 is when making a video game today. Now, I'm not a game dev. I've never made a video game, so I don't know. But you look at the elements, right? Like the game has to look pretty, right?
Mhm.
So how much is that going to cost, right?
Mhm.
Like a game like RuneScape does not look pretty. Like RuneScape
No, of
3
course
and
not.
RuneScape 2, they don't look pretty. So you're able to do a lot more in that sense. A game like Cyberpunk has to look pretty. It's got to play pretty.
Yeah.
It's got to have all this stuff. So, you got to make sure that what you're getting and what you're doing is, it's going to work. You know what I mean? So the problem with a lot of games today is they're so big and it requires so many resources to make them that it's just like, is this even worth it? But that's the way the industry is going. So, and that's why I think, like, I know Fortnite is not really, I guess it's technically open world, but it's different.
It's
but,
a FPS. It's a first person
FPS.
shooter.
Yeah, it's battle royale.
well,
I
I mean,
think Battle Royale
Halo
is-
Infinite's an FPS, and Halo Infinite's also open world.
Is it like where you get to, like, how big is the map?
It's huge. Halo Infinite has a massive map.
Okay.
I mean, look at Skyrim. Skyrim and those are all first person games, and they're all
Yeah,
all
I
open
would
world.
consider like Skyrim more open world because it's like the mass majority of like the map size, and then also like the quests and like the side quests and things like
But-
that.
But the point I'm trying to get at with Fortnite is graphically, Fortnite is not insanely demanding, and so they're able to put in a lot of elements into the game and program a lot of elements into the game that, add up to kind of big changes in the game that add up
Oh,
to big results, right?
I see what you mean. Yeah, I see. What you mean.
Whereas in a game like Cyberpunk, it requires so many resources to program an exploding barrel
Mhm.
that they're not going to be able to program every single element properly into the game without either
That's
it
true.
glitching or it doesn't work properly or doesn't work. Like, they can't think of everything, right? There's a term called video game logic, right?
Mhm.
And we're kind of bound by video game logic. And I think the next generation of games, we're trying to get past it. But ultimately, as pretty as the game looks, it's still a video game, right?
That's true. Yeah.
So, and that's fine, that's fine. I think that's, to some level, you have to be like, okay, I'm playing a video game. Like, this is a video game. And I think the fun thing about like games like Skyrim and a lot of the open world games we're talking about, GTA, Red Dead, is they kind of blur the line, right? Like you get that, like, during the sixth and especially the seventh generation, it started to get, things started to get more realistic, right?
Yeah.
Things started to look
Yeah.
prettier. Like, it wasn't just like,
The graphics
Yeah.
got better.
right, the graphics got better, the processors got better. You can have bigger worlds, right? You can have prettier worlds. Water works differently, right? Like, you have all this cool
Mhm.
stuff that you can do.
Well,
And
like
so-
ray tracing, all the stuff like that.
Well, yeah, I mean, but like looking at GTA 5, right? Like, just on a technical level, like for what that game did on the Xbox 360 and the PS3, and it's just mind-boggling. Same with Skyrim. Those two games, like, you look at like the three biggest games of like the last 10 years, 15 years. Obviously you have Minecraft, open world.
Mm-hmm.
Skyrim, open world. Right? GTA, open world. You know what I mean? So, but they all have these elements of freedom. Like they expand what the player can do, and that's what makes them really good. That's what I think that's what separates a lot of these games, is giving the player the freedom that they're able to have. World of Warcraft, same thing.
Yeah.
Even though that game's older, but I don't know. It's weird. Like, you look at. It's really interesting, honestly, because you have like kind of like pseudo open world games, so games that are like quote unquote open world, but they're not really. You know what I mean? That's kind of interesting. Final Fantasy 15 has like a massive open world, and it's really like robust.
It is, but at the same time, I regret getting Final Fantasy 15 Collector's Edition, because the game was very short. In my
Oh,
opinion.
interesting.
Yeah,
Final Fantasy game short.
I
yeah,
never
it was very
understood Final
short.
Fantasy.
We're gonna have to do a whole podcast on Final Fantasy. Like, I'm not the
Yeah.
biggest Final Fantasy fan myself, but I respect the series.
Both you get out of here.
Final Fantasy, like, I mean, look, I played Final Fantasy 6, I played Final Fantasy 7, 8, 9, 10. I didn't play
Mhm.
11. I didn't really play 12. Didn't play 13. Didn't play 14. Played a little bit of 15. I never actually beaten a Final Fantasy game. I've just dabbled.
Really?
Yeah.
Final Fantasy 15 was so short compared to all the other ones. And on top of that, what got me pissed off more was that after the fact, they start introducing more to the game, more DLCs, more of like adventures and more storylines to Final Fantasy 15 that you have to pay extra for. So I was like,
Interesting.
you couldn't just include all of that in one game,
Yeah.
because I regret getting collector's edition because I got, of course, the steel book, I got the movies, the TV show, the art book, and the statue for like $300.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and it was, in my opinion, an incomplete game.
Interesting. Yeah, I played a lot of Final Fantasy, not a lot, but I played a little bit of Final Fantasy 15. I think the other thing that we have to realize, like in the open world genre, is for every Skyrim and GTA, there's like 10 failures, right? Like there's like Dynasty Warriors. Dynasty Warriors 10 is a great example, right?
Mhm.
Like that game went open world, but a lot of the fans didn't like it. You know what I mean? Not saying that it was bad because it was open world, but I think the way they implemented the open world was probably not the best way to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
I hear a lot of also mixed reviews about like Monster Hunter World,
I've heard Monster Hunter World is fun, but it's I've never gotten into the Monster Hunter series, so I'm not
Same.
a massive fan, so I really wouldn't know. But there's a lot of bad open world games. There's a lot of really where the open world does not work in the favor of the game.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the key is just designing a good open world, making it fun, making like it can't just be blank desert, or
Mm-hmm.
blank just mountain ranges. Like there's got to be stuff to do. Are you gathering resources? Are you fighting things? Like are you going on quests? Are you doing puzzles? Like what are you doing? Are you exploring caves and scraping mushrooms off
Oh my god.
the cave floors and stuff?
Yeah. Speaking of
You
which,
guys,
go ahead, Muffy.
have you guys ever heard of Sons of the Forest?
No.
No.
So it's a
Oh.
second game in a series of The Forest. It just came out. It is, I would say, one of the best games of the year so far. It
Oh,
wow.
crashed Steam. It has like 200,000 viewers on Twitch right now. I played the first one. Me and Kay Diddy run it. It's beautiful. That game's beautiful.
Oh, I see
Diddy.
clips of the games.
Mhm.
Okay, I didn't know
And
what the
the
game
building?
was.
It's like there's building, there's exploring caves. It's like it's oddly realistic. Like in order to build, you need to split logs, and the graphics are incredible, like amazing.
So let's
Okay.
talk about realistic versus realism. Do you guys know the difference, or do you guys?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What is the difference in your mind, Mofi, between realistic and realism?
Realistic is like realistic graphics, realistic weather, stuff like that. Realism is like kind of lifestyle realism. So it's like you need to travel a long time to get somewhere that's far away. There's no like teleporting. There's like in order to like get food, you need to kill something and cook it and stuff like that.
Oh, this is good. Yeah. So okay. So yeah, I think that's a good definition. So basically, realistic is it looks real, and then realism is what you're doing works within the context of the game itself. The mechanics of the game itself makes sense from a logical and a mechanical standpoint. If that makes any
Oh, wow.
sense.
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah.
So
I'm sorry. I'm looking into Sons of the Forest.
no,
I've
no,
seen
please.
clips of it, but like, I haven't seen the actual full game. It looks nice. But it
So
looks scary too.
I think that open world games and games in general should strive for the ism, right? Like, okay, hey, like everything makes sense within the context of the world that we built, versus, we got to make it as pretty as possible because it's a bottomless pit, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
eventually you're gonna need like these crazy graphics. You already do need crazy graphics cards to play these games, but it's like, we're getting to the point where it's like, like we talked about ray tracing and all this crazy stuff. It's like, I'm not saying it's bad,
Mm-hmm.
but eventually that's your whole game. Your whole game is like a pretty game. It's a beautiful game now, and nothing else, right? It's hollow.
Yeah.
Me personally, I value realism more.
I agree.
And I think realistic stuff, I think it adds like a finishing touch. Like, don't get me wrong, I love realistic graphics. I think it's I love beautiful games. I think beautiful games this may be controversial, but could be considered forms of art.
No,
Oh,
dude, they are
definitely.
considered.
Most
They are
definitely
considered. Definitely, dude, 100%.
Yeah.
But like right now, though, and this is kind of like how the industry. We were talking like the last podcast. We were talking about the entertainment industry, and I would love to get. I know some game devs. We can probably get some of them like on this podcast, but I would love to get their take on like the Unreal Engine, right? Because a lot of Unreal games, they start to kind of look the same. Like the colors look the same, and they kind of blur together. You know what I mean?
Like, can you give an example just in case our audience doesn't know which one you're talking about?
Okay, so like Back for Blood, right?
Mhm.
Back for Blood looks very similar to Call of Duty. You know what I mean?
True. Well,
And-
Back for Blood, the game devs are the one that made what's that game? It's similar to
It's Turtle Rock Studios is the one who
Yeah.
did Back for Blood, and then I believe before that,
Left 4 Dead. Left 4 Dead 2. They're the
Hun-
same developers.
100%. So the point is though that game looks similar. It looks it kind of has that Unreal 4 look.
Mm-hmm.
Street Fighter V, right, was made in the Unreal 4 engine. Now Street Fighter V uses a very unique art style, right? And then Street Fighter 6 is in the re-engine, the RE engine, and there's kind of a different look. But kind of going back to the main point that I'm trying to get at is that I think it's important to have a good art style, right? And then put the like Mofi was saying, the realistic touch, right?
Mm-hmm.
If that makes any sense.
Yeah, it does.
Obviously, a game company like Rockstar or CD Projekt Red, they have the resources, the money, the artists, the time, all this stuff to make a game look the way it does, right?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of these smaller studios, they might not have the they might not have the resources. So
yeah, and then that's like going back to Sons of the Forest, where like you can guys look it up on YouTube, but the like opening
it's called Sins of the Forest.
Sons of the
Sons.
Oh,
Forest.
Sons of the
But
Forest.
the opening scene literally looks like a movie because it was made by movie producers. The original game was made consisted of a team of like 10 movie producers, and they're like, let's make a game. So the opening scene is just insanely realistic. It's
Yeah,
like,
I'm looking at it. It looks really good.
You know what other game looks really good? Stray.
oh yeah.
Stray was really good. I love playing Stray.
Okay,
That was. Go ahead.
I'm looking at Sons of the Forest.
Like
The
if you
game
look
looks.
at the opening scene.
I'm just looking at it in general, like
Yeah.
gameplay and stuff. The game looks really realistic,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
and it incorporates a lot of realism.
Yeah, it does.
So that's interesting.
And that was something the first game originally lacked a little bit. But we could get K Daddy on here. It's like his favorite game series. So
All right, let's get him on here.
I don't know if he's available right now.
He's probably not.
Probably
get him
another
on next time.
though. Yeah.
Another time.
We'll have him for our Sons of the Forest podcast.
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
man.
guys, I mean, here's the reality of the situation, or what I see. It's like, as long as the game is good, right? Like, I mean, Mofi, you seem to enjoy the single player experience. I do as well, right? Like, I enjoyed Red Dead 2. I enjoyed the GTA games. I've enjoyed the Elder Scrolls games. I've enjoyed, a lot of open world games. And I think that, moving forward for me, like, I mean, Mofi, you haven't reached this point yet, and JD, you probably haven't reached this point either. But I'm at the point where I've just played so many games that I'm looking for something new, something fresh, or something real. So we're gonna stay within the topic of open world games, but let me ask you guys this: how do you think the metaverse incorporates into this whole thing?
That's an interesting question because
Yeah.
I think eventually, in the next, I would say like 10 to 15 years, I think that virtual reality games are going to just take over the market.
Well, the reason why I mentioned like the metaverse versus open world is like the idea of like living in a virtual world, gathering resources in a virtual world, working in a virtual connected world, like that's been around for a while, like since the early days of MMOs. Now, granted, it wasn't that extreme. I mean, you could make money and do things like that, but you didn't like literally live in the world. But I mean, okay, I could be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I believe the metaverse that Mark Zuckerberg is building cost $10 billion.
Mhm.
Can someone fact check me on that one, Mofi? Or
Yeah, sure.
Sure. Let's look into that. Oh,
But
while Mofi is looking into that,
Oh, well, how much is Mark Zuckerberg worth?
no, how
No,
much did it
how much
cost
it
Facebook
costs?
to build the metaverse?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because it's like I know it's some ridiculous number, right?
Mm-hmm. I don't know. Right now, like the early stages of the metaverse, it's more of like a running on joke.
So there's not an exact number, but people estimate around 15 billion.
Okay, so 15 billion. So okay, so I was way off. So, but still, it's in the billions, right? It wasn't like 500 million.
Yeah.
Like I think like a AAA game today, like a good AAA game might cost at the most 500 million, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Like a big budget movie is going to cost you probably what, like like a big budget movie like Ant-Man or something like that might cost 250 million, right? $100 million can get you a good movie too. So with the metaverse costs $15 billion and it looks terrible.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah.
Like, and it doesn't just look terrible, but it plays terrible, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so there are video game elements within the metaverse, but I think the fundamental difference between the metaverse, like the open world idea of the metaverse versus say something like World of Warcraft, is the real world implications, right? So like, because I remember when people were talking about the metaverse, it sounds like people are like, this sounds a lot like Second Life, or this sounds a lot like World of Warcraft, right?
It's more the lines of like Ready Player One type of
Sure,
situation.
sure, yeah. So yeah, no, 100%. So that's the direct inspiration, I believe, for Web 3.0 stuff. But like in Ready Player One specifically, there've been other examples, but like specifically with Ready Player One, it's like they socialize in the world, they play games in the world, they work. There's like corporations in the world, so that aspect of the whole situation, like they bank in the world, like they do all this stuff through this virtual world. I think that's the fundamental difference, but having said that, like you can have those elements in video games as well, right? So with RuneScape, right, like there are people, they just bot for a living, like they'll have like a bot farm, and they have websites where they sell gold, and so they're playing this video game, but they're impacting the real world. They're making money, and then they're paying their house, their rent or whatever. They're paying for goods and services with money that they made by playing a video game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And a lot of people, like I said, with the Diablo 3 auction house, it's like, oh, this is bad. Like it's bad for people to make money, or bad for this or that. But it's like, I think it's just a part of life, and I think it's a good thing, honestly, guys. Like I think it's a good thing if MMOs or whatever, right? Like if we can somehow do, and I'm not just saying money, but some kind of real world application, right? So like if there was like a workout program, or if there was like, if you're like an Amazon delivery driver, like your VR headset can like scan the package or something. Like, you know what I mean?
I think they're doing that with like sunglasses and stuff.
Yeah. I think they are. Especially like now, rumor has it that Apple is coming out with their own headset, maybe this year or next year.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting. Apple is a very interesting company.
It's a topic for another time.
Totally topic. Out of topic.
Yeah, no, 100%, dude. But I'm just saying that like Apple, you know, they're one of the companies that has the ability to change the space. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
you know, Microsoft, Apple, Facebook, you know, they all have the ability to they have the resources to do the research and development to develop, you know, these really crazy products.
Yeah.
But anyways, guys, yeah, I think that's it for this episode. Is there anything else that we want to talk about in regards to open world, metaverse stuff?
Oh my god.
I think that's it. Just
Thank you.
if you haven't already, you gotta play Red Dead.
Yeah, guys, if you haven't already, let's hit up Red Dead Redemption 2. I think it's $20 for the online version. Like if you just want to get the online version. Is that right, Murphy?
I know on Steam it just comes in a bundle for like $30.
Oh, cool. So
Yeah.
real quick, what are your top five open world games? No particular order. JD.
Oh man. So classic RuneScape, Skyrim, Assassin's Creed. Yeah, that's pretty much yeah, at the top of my head, that's pretty much it I could think of.
Mofi?
Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild. No particular
that's a good
order.
one.
Breath of the Wild, Red Dead, GTA 5, Sons of the Forest, and then my last one. Ooh, that's a tough one. I mean, I don't know. I might need to leave it at 4. I'm trying to browse Steam.
I'm gonna go with RuneScape.
Mm-hmm.
That's my number 1. World of Warcraft is my number 2. Probably Morrowind as number 3.
Oh.
Number 4 would probably be Jak. Probably one of the Jak games, either Jak 2 or Jak 3. And the number 5 would be probably Red Dead.
And then I found one more. It could be controversial. Some people might not consider it an open world game, but Microsoft Flight Simulator.
Yes,
Okay.
dude, that game's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna throw out there one of the ones I'm enjoying right now, currently is Hogwarts Legacy.
Oh, let's talk about Hogwarts Legacy for a quick second.
God.
How are you liking
Here
it
we
so far?
go. Honestly, I love the game. There's nothing. Well, there's a few things to complain about it, but like other than that, it's like I am living out my childhood dream of being a wizard.
I got to check it out. I really got to check that game out. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for joining us. You know, we appreciate you guys checking out our podcast. Obviously, all of the relevant links are going to be in the description below. And yeah, we appreciate you guys. Hope you guys have a good rest of your day.
See you guys.
We're also on Spotify too now, guys. So if you guys would like to hear the audio version, go over to Spotify. We'll be available on Apple Podcasts and Google Podcasts, along with all the other platforms pretty soon. But right now, we're on exclusively on YouTube and Spotify.
Thank you guys so much. You guys have a good one. Bye-bye.
Peace, guys.
Bye.